I have been fascinated with runes ever since I first discovered them. And I remember watching YouTube videos and trying to work out how I could use them in a spread. I saw some people kind of doing a method of digging into a bag of runes and selecting a certain number and just letting them fall. And then kind of, some people would have a sort of a bullseye type situation, and they would read the rune that was closest to the bullseye and then kind of look at the runes that were further out and whether they were upright or merkstave, reversed. And then they would work out what the situation was for the person and what was likely to happen based upon the position of the runes. So I tried that and it never really worked for me. What worked the best, what I found worked best, was using what I call a portrait. So this is what I wanted to show you tonight. This is why we have our runes. We've got my Silbernacht Lenormand cards, Leno cards, right? I've got my borderless Rider-Waite-Smith tarot cards, which I love. We've got some playing cards as well, and I've got the beautiful, I think these are called the Magick Forest Lenormand or Lenormand, Leno for short. They are gorgeous, and these cards, whilst I find them very difficult to lay in an entire grand tableau, just because they're all the same background colors, they do tend to sort of blend in together. They work a lot better for a 9-card portrait. So, and by the way, this method of laying the portrait, we lay the runes and the cards in a certain order. I'm going to show you. This I learned from Bjorn Murus's encyclopedia volume 1, 2 or 3. I can't remember exactly which one it is. It's in, I'll put it on the screen so you can see. I think it's an old method of reading cards. I'm not exactly sure where it comes from, but it kind of feels like it's probably a very old method that people would have used to read playing cards. I think actually that Lenormand or Lenormand kind of came from a mixture of the Game of Hope called Das Spiel der Hoffnung and probably playing card tableau readings, which is what Camelia Elias writes a lot about. Now, I have tried the 52 card playing card tableau, and it kind of made sense in a way, but not having cards in houses, I found it very difficult to understand, and I couldn't really follow the instructions in her book. Unfortunately, I do have Read Like the Devil volume part 1, 2 and 3. One covers playing cards, one tarot, the Marseille tarot, and one Lenormand. And I found them very interesting, but I found the examples very hard to follow because the playing cards didn't have any numbers on them. So it made it very difficult to work out what was going on, because I'm not quite as familiar with the playing cards that don't have any numbers, the more old-fashioned variety. Anyway, I'm going off on a bit of a side quest now. So just to let you know, this is where this technique comes from. I did not invent it. However, what I will say is that I have not seen, apart from maybe there was one YouTube channel I found, God, ages ago when I first bought a bag of runes. There was a YouTube channel, I'll try and find which one it was, so you can go and check it out. If I can, I'll put it on the screen or put it in the description of this video. And I'm pretty sure the guy laid out a 9-rune box. And that was the closest that I found, but he didn't read the runes in the way that I do. So what I'm going to try to show you is the way that I use a sort of a technique now to create a sentence. I'm all about creating sentences, and it has made it much easier for me to read runes, to read playing cards, to read tarot cards, Lenormand cards, and I use the same technique no matter which one I'm doing. I think you could probably, well, you could definitely use this for anything really. You could use it, you know, for any sort of anything that you can use for divination. You could use it with a magpie oracle. You could use it with dominoes. You could use it with Kipper or Sabia or any, you know, divination system as far as I'm concerned. So this is a kind of a really great spread or technique that will do for anything really, because what we do is we have a starting point and an end point. I'm going to try and show you. So okay, and this is what I'm really keen to do as well, is to show you how I read for myself, because very few people do this, I've noticed. Very few people on YouTube want to kind of put themselves out there and put themselves on the spot. But the point is that this is actually, I found, an easier way in a lot of senses of reading for yourself or other people than what I see a lot of people do, which is and this technique of kind of reading as I lay, I call it, which I'm going to try to demonstrate. Let's see if it works tonight. It's easier doing it this way than laying a full spread and then looking at the whole thing and trying to sort of decipher it, you know. You're using a different part of your brain if you do that. You're using the left-hand side of the brain as opposed to the right-hand side. Anyway, so I'm going to do a reading for myself, and I am going to focus on what I need to be aware of. What is limiting me? What is holding me back? That's a good question, isn't it? So our main, our central rune is going to be the theme of the reading. So it starts us off. So we have got the blank rune, which is, I would call it Odin's rune. In Lisa Pichel's book, she calls it Weird, W-Y-R-D, as opposed to W-E-I-R-D. And I tend to think about this as the sort of the unknown. It is a little bit like the Fool in tarot, actually, I suppose, in a sense. It is the essence, the abyss, you know, in the sense of the kind of Kabbalistic tree of life. It is the Da'ath kind of sphere, you know, if you know a little bit about Kabbalah. It's what we're trying to do. We're trying to sort of cross the abyss into the unknown to connect with the more divine parts of ourselves. But it's the unknowable essence of our spiritual self. Now, from the center we go down. So I'm having a conversation with the higher part of my mind. So now I call a lot of people who study Magick, study Kabbalah, would describe this as knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel, which is a whole other subject in and of itself. If I was to explain, this video would go on for hours and hours and hours. But if you read a book like Modern Magic by Donald Michael Craig, you'll know what I'm talking about. But let's call the Holy Guardian Angel the higher part of my mind. It's a little bit like the way that I describe this part of myself, I suppose. This sort of the solar body, the oversoul, in the same way as Esther Hicks has Abraham Hicks. Abraham talks through Esther Hicks, right? So if you kind of look up the teachings of Abraham Hicks, you hear this entity speaking through her. And for me, my Abraham is called Joshua. So I'm Zand West, the higher part of my mind, my sort of oversoul, my kind of own personal hierophant or spiritual support network, I call Josh West, from Yeshua, okay? Because when I'm doing, I practice magic every day, and when I'm doing the Kabbalistic cross, I add in the extra bit in the center, the tiferet, center of my heart. So I say Ate, Yeshua, Malkuth, Yeshua, Vegebora, Yeshua, Vegadula, Yeshua, Leolam, Amen. So I kind of add in that extra step, I suppose, that central point. So it's interesting that this has come in the center. I hope I'm not confusing you. Anyway, okay, so I'm having a conversation with my HGA, Josh. Josh is saying to me, okay, I know that you can't see beyond the abyss, but I can. I am at the very top of the universe looking down. I have a bird's eye view. So I'm here to tell you that the way to succeed, now I'm going to add verbs, to succeed, Ingwas, is to listen, right? Listen. It's a very, very important word. It's an imperative. And we must always listen to the higher part of our mind, right? As opposed to looking out or trying to shape the physical world, which is already manifested. If we listen to that still, quiet voice inside of us, that's our spiritual support network that is going to help us to release, that will help us to release. You see that I'm just forming a sentence now. To release what no longer serves us, Hagalath. It's like the tower, it's the hail. The hail washes away everything that no longer serves us, that is going to prevent the forward journey, horizon, right? Okay, so now we go to the corners, okay. This, my spiritual support network, Joshua, I'm going to talk as Joshua now. I'm here to help you to develop the strength of character, oroth, that you will need in order to release what is unhealthy, what is striving to thrive. So this becomes like the tree card. And what am I doing right now? I am trying to get a lot healthier. I have actually started working with a personal trainer. Also, I've really been working my diet. I'm not drinking anymore, not drinking alcohol, which has been a real challenge for me. It really has, and it's been definitely on my mind, releasing this kind of, you know, this part of myself that was very much sort of dependent on, you know, alcohol and sort of escaping into various things. So by focusing on improving my health, you see the way we've got this as a reverse, but I'm still forming a sentence based upon it as a positive, because it's telling me where I need to work on myself, my physical body. This is going to help me to progress, and this is going to help me to find new ways to communicate what I'm passionate about and to help other people. And so again, it's a kind of a reminder, you know, it's funny, I've been off YouTube for quite a while now, and sort of avoiding social media, but I think that I've kind of found my happy place, I suppose. I really love doing this. I find it very calming, very relaxing, and it's nice to be able to film something, especially with the camera up above me. It's nice to be able to just focus on reading for myself and filming, so I can share it with you guys if you're watching, and hopefully you're enjoying the video. If so, give me a thumbs up, and if you've not already done so, please consider subscribing. It really helps. But I'm really enjoying it because it kind of takes the pressure off. I did live streams for so long, and they get a bit exhausting after a while. You sort of feel like you're giving so much of yourself and being a bit of a performing monkey, whereas this feels like I'm making a piece of art from myself, I suppose, but also it's something that I film and then I upload, so I get a chance to watch it back and a chance to edit and add music and make it style it in the way that I want. It's really nice to kind of work on a finished product. It feels like taking a photograph, and I used to always love photography, so hence I enjoy this. Okay, so yeah, really interesting. So hopefully I've showed you how I use runes to communicate with the higher part of my mind. And really this is what I'm doing with any kind of divination. With any divination method, it's the same thing. To divine is to communicate with the divine, the higher part of us. And the only difference between me and a very religious person, I suppose, is the fact that I think about what people call God as not an anthropomorphized deity who is separate from me, but as a part of me. Okay, so now I want to show you what we're going to do is we're going to take this conversation and we're going to keep it going. So I'm having a conversation with Joshua, right? Hi Josh, thank you for talking to me tonight. So I'm having a conversation with myself, and it's a really good way of thinking about this. I imagine, let's imagine I'm having a chat with a really good friend in a coffee shop. I was going to say pub, but now that I'm not drinking, let's say a nice cafe. And I'm asking advice. I'm saying, okay, so how do I go about making the improvements that I need to make in order to really succeed, in order to achieve my goals and get my needs met? All right, so now we go into how. And so what I'm thinking already, I'm pre-planning the words, I suppose, in a sense, of thinking, right, well, if I'm asking the question how, the answer from my heart, the higher part of my mind, is going to be a series of imperatives. Do this, don't do this. All right. So we're going to start off, even before I start shuffling the cards, I'm imagining what this person, Joshua, would say to me, you know, well, Zand, in order to achieve your goals, you are going to have to, right, ... And then I'm going to shuffle to the point where I feel I'm in the right place. 1, 2, 3. And again, we start off, okay. You're going to have to focus on long-term growth, the long-term growth, the tree, right? You're going to have to focus on how you create a public persona that is going to encourage people to support your vision. All right. You really want to add a lot of depth to the kind of content that you're creating, and this is going to help people to find solutions to their own psychic challenges, right, and open doors for them. Remember to always have empathy and compassion for those who are beginning to learn cards, learn to read cards, Lenormand, tarot, playing cards, runes, because remember that you too were a beginner, and that we all have our own individual journey to go on when it comes to developing psychic skills to ship. There are many steps and many stages that we need to go through, so remember that. Remember to create a clear and consistent way forward. Now, actually, I've written a book about tarot, and I'm working on a book about Lenormand, and also runes. And what I've realized is what I need to focus on is creating more of a series of steps. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And to add in as much creativity as possible. It is the real beauty and creativity and, you know, the magic of reading cards. This is where I love this deck, actually. Can you see how gorgeous this is? Whilst I find it a little bit challenging to read a grand tableau because the backgrounds, again, are all very much the same color, doing a small spread like this, and you notice we've done exactly the same thing, a 9-card portrait, it works really well. And I'm hopefully I'm showing you how I'm kind of deviating, I suppose, from my primary vibes that I've talked about in all the previous videos, going through all 36 cards. Because this is a very different style of reading. I'm forming a sentence, whereas with the grand tableau, it's all about the technique, the cards and houses, the near and far rules, the mirroring, the knighting, and the chaining of houses, you know. That we're using very traditional methods and looking at the whole, whereas with this, it's much more organic, it's much freer. We're going to continue, and I'm going to try while I'm on a roll here. Again, I'm going to continue, thank you Joshua, continue with a conversation. And so again, this is like having a conversation with the therapist, but the thing is, I have to use cards because my therapist has to speak through a language of symbols. So now what I'm going to do is look deeper, go much deeper, and look at what my purpose is, right? What is my true will? That's a really interesting question. I realized a couple of years ago when I was going through a bit of an identity crisis, I suppose. It was my birthday, and I was thinking to myself, God, I don't know where I'm going to live or what I'm meant to be doing, or if I'm meant to be in a relationship, or, you know, who am I? I don't even know what I want. And I was trying to figure out what it was I should do with my life, really. I didn't really have a lot of direction. And it was like the ideas that I had before no longer worked. And I was just completely confused. And I realized that if I just asked to be shown, where should I be? What is going to make me happy? Instead of me trying to figure it out, I'm going to unburden myself to my higher power, to infinite intelligence, and say, show me. In a really clear way, show me what to do, show me what to say, show me who to talk to, show me what to write, show me how I should be thinking about this. I want you to judge, like the judgment card in tarot, judge my thoughts in the sense of putting my thoughts, my kind of mind, through a filtration process to filter out anything that's negative, to filter out all the limiting self-beliefs, and to filter out all of the ego-focused stuff. I wanted to let go of my ego, and sure enough, I started to have a whole series of things happen in my life that completely changed my course, and I ended up in a place where I never thought I would be happy, but it's actually a place that has brought me more peace and more happiness than I've known for a long time. I'm far more at peace now. So yeah, anyway, I always try and focus on that. I always think when I'm having a conversation with Joshua, it's like having a conversation with a really good therapist, but they can't speak so much. They have to show me pictures in the sense of cards, and then I put those cards into words. So, okay, true will. What is my true will? Right, this is a good question to ask yourself. Now, I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to fan these cards out. I love playing cards. This is just a cheap deck of playing cards from a store, you know, a shop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. I think this time what I'm going to do is actually just redo the order. So change the order, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. What you might find, and I'm already getting a sense of this, is that sometimes I want to read as I lay. Sometimes I want to lay the cards out and just have a look at them first of all. Take my time. If I get a sense of doing that, then that's what I do, right? So take my time and have a look. And you'll just pay attention to the voice in your head, you know. If the voice in your head says read as you lay, then read as you lay. If the voice in your head says just take your time, slow down, then I slow down. And what happens is I start to noticing things. I go, okay, hang on a minute. What's really standing out to me with this 9-card portrait using playing cards is the fact that we go from diamonds, 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 then we have 2 clubs, then we have, 3 clubs, the ace of clubs, the 9 of clubs, the king of clubs, and we have got 2 hearts, the 3 of hearts, the 4 of hearts, and the jack of spades, right? So now I start to think, okay, what is my true will? And then we go to the center, and I start to get a sentence forming in my mind. Your true will, the work, Zand, your true will, the work that you came here to do, the 8 of diamonds, like an 8 of pentacles, right? The work that you came here to do is to remember who you are. Remember that you come from that divine spark. It's like the kind of, when I look at the tree of life in a sort of a Kabbalistic sense, if we think of Kether at the top of the tree, you've got Kether, Hokmah, Binah. I think of that as almost being like the Big Bang. You know, it's that kind of idea of the Big Bang. And it reminds me that we are all part of that sort of central sun. We are all like flares coming off the sun. And that part of us is the sort of co-creator of our universe. We are co-creators with the universe. And we can forget that sometimes. We can forget just how important we are. The 3 of hearts, the Supernal triad, which is what a religious person would call the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, you know. Of course, it's a very patriarchal way of looking at it. I think of Kether, Hokmah, and Binah as being the opposing polarities. It's the law of polarity, one of the Hermetic sort of principles that creates everything, that allows manifestation to happen. And it's really important to remember just what amazing manifestors we are. And especially if you're going through a lot of crap in life, it's a reminder of, well, look, you look at all this bad stuff that you've manifested, you know. Not that I'm saying that people are responsible for terrible illnesses or accidents or anything like that, the bad stuff that happens to us. But as a consciousness, as a group mind, we have created these diseases, we've created these problems, we've created this separation, you know. And once we realize that we are all one, we're all connected to that one source, that one force in all the universe, the multiverse, you know. It is a reminder that that separateness is the ego's trickery, you know. It's what causes all the pain and all the feeling of being alone, the feeling of having to defend ourselves, that feeling of separation, you know. And that feeling of defense is what causes the feeling of needing to fight, you know, that feeling of imbalance, the 2 of diamonds, like a 2 of pentacles, and then creates the inner sort of warrior, you know, the jack of spades. If you think of a young person with a sword thinking, oh, I need to defend myself all the time. Our true will, my true will, the ace of clubs, like an ace of wands, connected to the element of fire. My true will is always there to create opportunities for me, the ace of diamonds, so that I can mature and become, you know, the king of clubs, like a king of wands, the true creative me, the true creative me. And within that creativity, that expression of my true will, there is the harmony, the balance, you know, the 4 of hearts. And in fact, the 4 of hearts is a really interesting card because it is like the 4 of cups, again, the meditation card. It is, the whole idea behind meditation, as far as I can see, is in doing nothing, that's where the power comes from. The point of power is actually in that peace, It is in the stillness. It is in the kind of, again, listening. It's like Isa. And it's a reminder to listen all the time. Listen, listen, listen. Yeah, so, wow, interesting. Really, really interesting. And I feel a tremendous sense of peace kind of flowing through me with this reading. It's beautiful. Okay, wow. So what have we done? We've done 3 so far. I am going to do one final one, and we're going to do actually, I might show you a slightly different way of reading tarot cards. Another favorite spread of mine is called the 3 Up, 3 Down. Again, if you are learning to read tarot and you have not tried this, I think it's a really good way. It's also a really good way of practicing. What I did when I might do it one day in a video, because I haven't done this for a long time. When I was beginning to learn to read cards, what I did is I worked out, or maybe I saw someone doing this. I worked out that with 78 tarot cards, if I laid 13 6-card spreads, hopefully I'm right in remembering this, I think I'm right, 13 times 6 cards equals 78, I think. I'm pretty sure about that. And so I would lay these 6-card spreads and have to do 13 readings for 13 ghosts. And by doing this 6 cards, 3 up, 3 down, so 2 cards for the past, 2 for the present, 2 for the future, you get a supporting card. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do an overhand shuffle to 22, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. That's a good technique as well. I'm going to put that on top. If you've got a number in your head, do an overhand shuffle to that. And we're going to lay out 3 cards above, 2, 3, and 3 cards below. And you could turn this into a 9-card box, by the way, of course, you know, just to say that. If you haven't worked that out already, you can add another layer if you want to, which we might do. Let's see. Let's see. It's nice to kind of, it's like building a box spread. That's how I think of this. But we're going to start with 6. So now, before I even turn these cards, what is it that I'm thinking about first of all? What advice, final piece of advice, do I need that's going to really be beneficial to me? How do I proceed? How do I proceed with the immediate future? Okay, in terms of what has been happening in my life. So we've got the Devil in reverse, the Ace of Swords. So straight away what I'm thinking about, what has been happening over the past week, is I have been actually working with a doctor to look at medication to help with no longer drinking alcohol. So it's been a fairly major development in my life, really major, and it's working pretty well. It has been quite a challenge because this medication sort of works in a particular way. It's quite a sort of psychological drug, I suppose. So it has been a little bit aggressive, but still working really well. So the Devil in reverse, to release myself. See, I'm really putting myself out there now with this reading, but I do think it's interesting to talk about real life, because I made the decision, I needed to make the decision, Ace of Swords, to sever ties with that old version of me, and in order to release myself, you know, from being a bit of a booze hound, right? Now, going back to a more kind of innocent version of me, I suppose, because that's kind of what happens when it's interesting. I went out for a walk this evening, and when you stop drinking as an adult, at first you feel like half your personality's gone. You know, it's a strange thing because you don't have that kind of escapism that you normally have. It's, you know, you don't have that kind of sensation of losing your inhibitions and having that kind of fun, you know, boozy time. And so you have to find other joys, I suppose. Everything becomes very peaceful and very still and very contemplative. And so I just sat, you know, reading a book. I was reading one of my new books, The Chicken Kabbalah by Lon Maladucat, on the bus, really enjoying it. I've also been reading The Tarot Architect by the same man. Really fascinating books. And so everything becomes a little bit boring, but a bit, you know, it's very, I've discovered a very different version of me. Very different version of me, kind of, and it feels very innocent, I suppose. But also really kind of connecting with the more feminine part of my mind, I suppose, as opposed to the masculine. Hence the Queen of Wands, you know. Now, yeah, I thought that this was going to be the case. The process of letting go of that taking control and letting go of that part of myself is like a grieving process, the Five of Cups, very much so. But again, what I have is this kind of final reminder that I have this spiritual support network and this assistance from Joshua. In other words, I'm not alone. The Knight of Cups. I think of the Knight of Cups, and Ariel Gatoga on YouTube used to always talk about the knights as being helpers. And they do, in this spiritual sense, you know, especially with the element of water, represent the assistance to help me. The assistance is there to help me to overcome that loss of the old identity, to let go of the old identity, Six of Cups, something old, and to get control 100%. But also what's interesting is that the Queen of Wands, you know, obviously the court cards are people. My sister crossed over from Cancer in August, very short, it was on the 26th actually of 2022, and it's coming up to the 26th of August now, and so it is her anniversary, and she had sunflowers at her funeral. Yeah. So it's a way of, again, through this reading, really beautiful, connecting with my sister, and along with, I kind of think of all our relatives who've crossed over as being an entire spiritual support network, but they are always with us, and especially during challenging times as well. Anyway, wow, gosh, that was dramatic. That was more dramatic than I thought it was going to be. It's funny how you get an idea for a little YouTube video and then it turns into a very powerful, it's become a very powerful experience for me actually, in helping me big time, and it was exactly what I needed right now. So there we go, folks. I hope that you enjoyed that. I'm trying to create different kinds of videos for you. I want to make videos that are more personal and more emotional, because tarot is incredibly personal. You know, my deck of tarot cards represent me. They represent my entire life, my entire vocabulary, all of my emotional experiences. And I love to explore my deep mind and talk with Joshua and all of my spirit guides and my sister, and it's really it really helps me. It gives me a tremendous sense of just spiritual control, spiritual support, spiritual sustenance. It reminds me that I'm not alone, but also I love the fact that I can help you guys as well to hopefully look beyond the typical Instagram, TikTok type, you know, fancy schmancy videos about tarot and Leno and runes, and just give you something a little bit more something you can get your teeth into. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video tonight. If so, if you can push the like button, that would be great. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing. And if you've got any questions, please drop them in the comments. If you enjoyed this kind of video and you want me to do more of these, let me know, and I'll see you next time.